I was finishing a client proposal when my phone buzzed with a calendar reminder. HOA meeting 7 p.m. tonight. I'd forgotten completely. Then I saw the meeting agenda posted in the building's resident portal. Item 7. Discussion of unauthorized long-term guest in Penthouse 3C and potential lease violations. Penthouse 3C. My unit. I scrolled down to see who'd submitted the item. My older brother Kyle, who lived in Unit 2B, a 2-bedroom he rented in the building. I found Kyle's post in the resident chat forum. Kyle, just want to address my sister staying in the penthouse. She's been there over 6 months, which violates our guest policies. This is our building and we all need to follow the same rules. The comments followed predictably. Thank you for bringing this to our attention, Kyle. Unauthorized guests affect property values. I'm trying to help her out, but rules are rules. Maybe this will teach her she can't just coast through life while the rest of us work hard. I walked to my home office and pulled out a locked filing cabinet. Inside was a folder labeled Riverside Towers ownership documents. I'd purchased the entire Riverside Towers complex 3 years ago through my real estate investment company, Northstar Properties LLC. 24 units across 6 floors. Total purchase price, $8.4 million, paid in cash from profits of my cybersecurity consulting firm. Ka had no idea. The purchase was handled through my LLC, and I'd kept the existing property management company to handle operations. Residents knew the building had been sold to an out-of-state investment company, but I'd never revealed my identity. Kyle had moved into Unit 2B 18 months ago, constantly bragging at family dinners about his upscale downtown apartment, while making digs about me, still doing freelance computer stuff. My parents praised him for finally settling down while dismissing my career. I'd moved into Penthouse 3C 6 months ago when it came vacant. As the owner, I could live wherever I wanted in my building. But Kyle didn't know that. He thought I was crashing in someone else's penthouse. I called my property manager, David Torres. David, I saw the HOA meeting agenda. Item 7. Your brother submitted it last week. He's been complaining for months that you're violating guest policies. I kept telling him the penthouse owner approved the occupancy, but he insisted on bringing it to the HOA. He thinks I'm staying here without permission? Apparently. He's convinced you're taking advantage of some absentee landlord. Should I tell him you own the building? No. I'll attend the meeting. Don't say anything yet. This should be interesting. I'll bring the ownership documents. At 6:55 p.m., I took the elevator to the community room. About 15 residents sat in folding chairs facing the HOA board table. Kyle sat in the front row looking pleased with himself. I slipped into the back row. Kyle didn't notice me, too busy chatting with Tom from Unit 4A about maintaining community standards. David arrived at 7 o'clock, carrying his portfolio and a locked document box. He nodded at me before taking his seat. Linda Marsh, the board president, called the meeting to order. Let's begin with standard items. Financial report, maintenance updates, then new business. The first 40 minutes were boring HOA minutiae. Kyle kept glancing at his watch, impatient. Finally, Linda cleared her throat. Item 7. Unauthorized long-term guest in Penthouse 3C. How you submitted this? Would you like to present? Kyle stood up, addressing the room like giving a corporate presentation. Thank you, Linda. My younger sister has been staying in Penthouse 3C for over 6 months. According to our bylaws, guests are limited to 30 consecutive days. Has the unit owner been notified? Linda asked. That's the problem. The owner is some LLC that doesn't live in the state. They probably have no idea my sister is there. For all we know, she talked her way in with some sob story and is living rent-free while the rest of us pay market rates. Tom raised his hand. How did she even get access to a penthouse? Those units rent for $4,000 a month. My sister does some computer work from home, Kyle said dismissively. Freelance stuff. Nothing stable. I'm worried she's taking advantage of an absentee landlord's negligence. That's a serious accusation, David interjected. Do you have evidence Ms. Chin is in the unit without authorization? She won't show me a lease. I've asked multiple times. She just says it's handled. That sounds like someone squatting. Several residents murmured agreement. Linda looked at David. Mr. Torres, can you clarify the situation with Penthouse 3C? I can. However, I think it would be more appropriate for the unit owner to address this directly. Kyle scoffed. The owner isn't even here. They're probably in another state. Actually, I said, standing from the back row, I'm right here. The room fell silent. Kyle spun around, confused. Maya? What are you talking about? I walked down the aisle. I'm talking about the fact that I own Penthouse 3C. And units 3A and 3B. And every other unit in this building. Pin drop silence. That's not funny, Kyle said uncertainly. David opened the document box. These are the property records for Riverside Towers, purchased 3 years ago by Northstar Properties LLC for $8.4 million. The sole owner is Maya Chin. He laid documents on the table. Linda picked them up, eyes widening. These are official county records. Maya Chin is listed as the owner of the entire complex. There has to be a mistake, Kyle said, confidence gone. Maya doesn't have that kind of money. She works from home doing computer things. I run a cybersecurity consulting firm, I said calmly. I specialize in security architecture for Fortune 500 companies. Annual revenue approximately $1.2 million. I purchased Riverside Towers as an investment 3 years ago, paid in full. I currently own 4 apartment complexes, totaling 96 units. Tom scrolled through the documents. Maya, you owned this building before Kyle even moved in. Correct. Kyle moved into Unit 2B 18 months ago. He signed a lease with Prestige Management, which manages my properties. I approved his application personally. Kyle's face went red. You approved? You knew I was moving in and didn't tell me you owned the building? You never asked. You told the family you'd found an upscale apartment. I thought it was nice you were happy with one of my properties. One of your properties? Kyle's voice cracked. You're lying. Maya's the family disappointment. She barely survives. Kyle, my mother's voice came from the doorway. My parents entered, looking confused. We got your text about an important meeting. What's going on? Kyle must have invited them to witness his moment of righteousness. Linda stood, holding ownership documents. Mr. and Mrs. Chin, Maya owns this entire building. She has for 3 years. My mother blinked. That can't be right. Maya does freelance work. Kyle is the successful one. Mrs. Chin, David said gently, Maya owns this building and 3 others. Her portfolio is valued at approximately $23 million. Deafening silence. My father found his voice. $23 million? Approximately. Across 4 properties. Kyle grabbed the documents, scanning frantically. This has to be fake. It's not fake, I said quietly. I bought Riverside Towers with earnings from my consulting firm. I started my company 6 years ago. I tried to tell you at Thanksgiving that year. You said I should get a real job before boring everyone with my little computer hobby. But you never said you owned buildings. I invited everyone to my company's 5th anniversary celebration last year. Plaza Hotel Ballroom. No one came. Dad had a golf game. Mom was helping you pick furniture. I paused. For your apartment in my building. Tom spoke up. Kyle, you've been living in a unit owned by your sister? I didn't know. How was I supposed to know? You could have asked. You could have shown interest in my work instead of dismissing it. You could have come to my office opening, my anniversary party, or any celebration. But you were too busy telling everyone I was the family disappointment. Linda cleared her throat. To clarify, Maya has full authorization to occupy Penthouse 3C because she owns it. She owns the entire building, David corrected. She can occupy any unit she chooses. This is insane, Kyle muttered. You let me pay rent to you? You pay rent to Prestige Management at fair market rates. Same as every tenant. Same services, same lease terms. I've never given you special consideration, but I've also never treated you unfairly. But you could have told me. Why? So you could ask for free rent? Kyle, you've spent years telling everyone I'm not successful. You've made jokes about my career at every family gathering. Why would I share my financial situation with someone who clearly didn't respect me? My mother stepped forward. Maya, you've been wealthy this whole time and never told us? I tried, Mom. Multiple times. Every achievement was brushed off. When I bought my first building, you said I was showing off. When I hit my first million in revenue, Dad changed the subject to Kyle's promotion. I learned my successes weren't welcome topics. But we're family. You should have insisted. Should I? I'm standing here now and Kyle's first instinct was to call it a scam. You're more comfortable believing I'm a failure than accepting I might be successful. Kyle sank into a chair. Everyone's going to know. I told people I lived in this exclusive building. Now everyone will know my little sister owns it and I'm just a tenant. You are a tenant. There's no shame in that. The shame is in looking down on others while living in their property. Linda looked uncomfortable. Maya, on behalf of the board, I apologize. Clearly no violation. You have every right to live in your own property. Thank you. And for the record, you all do a good job maintaining community standards. I appreciate the care you take with my investment. Tom laughed nervously. So when we complained about the pool temperature, we were complaining to the actual owner? Those go through David, but yes, I review major maintenance issues. The pool heater's been upgraded, by the way. David collected documents. If there's no further business regarding Penthouse 3C, I suggest we move on. Wait, Kyle said. That's it. What else would you like to discuss? You wanted to report an unauthorized guest. I've proven I'm the authorized owner-occupant. But everyone thinks I'm successful. And now they'll know you're the rich one. I've always been successful, Kyle. You just chose not to see it. 3 days later, Kyle sent a text. I need to break my lease. I can't live in a building owned by my little sister. Everyone knows now. It's humiliating. Can you let me out without penalties? I forwarded it to David. Standard lease terms apply. Kyle paid the penalty and moved out within a month. I heard he found a cheaper apartment and told people he downsized by choice. My parents tried to repair things with an awkward dinner invitation. We want to celebrate your success, Mom said. You want to celebrate now that you know about it. Where were you when I was building it? The dinner never happened. Mom did start commenting on my company's social media. So proud of my daughter. On posts about property acquisitions. It felt hollow. She'd had years to be proud. The HOA meetings continued quarterly. I attended most as both owner and resident. Linda and I developed a good working relationship. The building ran smoothly. I kept Penthouse 3C. Every morning I have coffee on my balcony and look out over the city where I've built my portfolio, my business, my life. Kyle never apologized for the HOA meeting, for years of condescension, for assuming I was taking advantage rather than succeeding. Last I heard, he was dating someone impressed by his former luxury apartment and the fact that his sister owns buildings. He still doesn't get it. It was never about the buildings. It was about respect, recognition, willingness to see me as I actually am rather than as he wanted to believe. My family saw what they expected. Kyle expected a failure, so that's what he saw, even while paying rent to my company, living in my building, benefiting from my success without knowing it. Sometimes the person you're looking down on owns the ground you're standing on. They just never bothered to look up.